All right, everybody, we are back for another video. As I mentioned in the last one, I've been away from the shop, so been doing these kind of, impromptu videos just for some kicks. Sometimes there's a little pressure or a little less pressure to do the videos away from where I normally record them. And it's easier because I don't have to set up a backdrop and, get audio and microphones and all that kind of stuff. I just do it with the phone. So for those of you who like to hear information from me and watching these videos, that's what this is all about. Two things. We're going to talk about iced coffee today. Kind of interesting and fun subject. We'll keep this kind of brief. I'm a big fan of coffee and all things coffee related and stuff. So been kind of on an iced coffee kick lately and been enjoying it. So we'll get to that in a minute. The second thing, or the first thing, I guess, technically, is got a new book coming out. It's going to be, it'll probably be, I want to say probably early to midsummer is my guess before it's ready. It's going to be a continuation in the Combat Cat series. Now, briefly, I did a book. It was actually a novella that was released last year, I think around the middle of the year, give or take, and publish it through Amazon. You can still find it if you go to gearconvoy.com. You'll be able to find it on the homepage or from the drop-down menus, or if you go to Amazon and you search Combat Cat, K for combat and K on cat as well. That's the main character's name is K2. So you'll be able to find that there. It was really just kind of a fun project, something I've always wanted to try and write a book. I'm not an author. I'm not a writer. I don't know what in the world I'm doing. I just did it for fun and thought what would entertain me if I was reading this, passively on the side or whatever. Mission accomplished for me. Now, here's the interesting thing. You wouldn't believe that it wasn't a ton, but the hate mail I got from people making fun of me and getting jabbed at me for a grown man writing a book about. So the book is about Combat Cat. It's the Felix unit. Okay, that's an acronym, Felix. I won't get into that now. You can find it if you want. If you don't care, then that's fine too. But basically, it's a group of these hybrid human-feline hybrid warriors. Okay, so I was originally going to write the book about just like a sci-fi, kind of like a post-apocalyptic sci-fi thriller action kind of thing. But there's so many of those out there, and nothing against that, or that genre or anything else. But I thought, you know what? Why don't we do something a little fun instead of just giving them powers like X-Men or like all the guys in movies get nowadays, Avenger type stuff. Everybody's got powers. I thought, well, why don't we go ahead and make them, make it a little more of a sci-fi twist, and we'll make them, human feline hybrid combat soldiers. And that way they'll be a little faster, a little stronger. They'll have, slightly powers, but it won't be all jazzed up and amped up like they're, invulnerable and invincible, can fly and all this kind of stuff. So it was really just for fun to add that aspect of it. Plus, I'll be honest, it wasn't influenced by it, but growing up, I was a big fan of like Thundercats and Voltron, like a lot of people in Generation X were. And so I thought, this has been done before. Let's go ahead and put my twist on it and have a little fun with it. But people were making fun of me because I was a grown man, writing that type of, I guess, twist with cats and stuff and the feline hybrid warriors. So that's really more of a commentary. It didn't bother me. I've got really, really thick skin. If you know me, that's not going to faze me. But I really thought it was kind of sad that people, what's got to be wrong with you if you got to go hate on somebody for writing a book and you just don't like the subject material? It wasn't, anyway, we'll move on. But it's just, that's what happens, guys. Anytime, if you ever want to do anything, if you want to start a business, if you want to produce a product, whatever, you got to be ready for haters. There are always people out there, and most of them have probably never accomplished much of anything in their life. I'm sure some of them have, but a lot of them have never done much of anything. And they will line up and be in a hurry to hate on someone else who has. I guess it just makes them feel good. I don't know. I don't mind, making jabs or sarcasm, jab at somebody else. That's fine by me. I do that. That's part of the way I was raised. I'm a very sarcastic person. But to actively go out and hate on people because they're doing something kind of escapes me. But it's definitely out there. I've got so much hate mail over the years for making hollow-handled survival knives because that genre has kind of been dead for a while, and I've, in my opinion, been breathing a little bit of life into it. But that's the way it is, man. If you go and produce something, you better be prepared to have people make fun of you, and that's, I guess they get off on it somehow. So anyway, if you haven't, the new book will be coming out. It'll be a continuation of the Combat Cat series, kind of picking up where we left off. This will be a full-length book, so again, takes a little bit. The first one was a novella, about 150 pages or so. Combat Cat, both with a K. You can find that on Amazon or on gearconvoy.com if you want to look it up. I'm going to try and get the audio version produced as well, but I'll probably do it myself, so it's going to take a while. And that's that. Now, the next thing we want to talk about was the iced and cold brew and hot coffee thing. So I've been a hot coffee man for decades now. I can drink coffee 24/7. I enjoy the flavor. I enjoy the experience. I enjoy the aroma, the whole, the impact of the caffeine slowly in your body. I don't drink it for the caffeine jolt. For me, it's primarily the flavor and the taste and the smell. Now, obviously, especially first thing in the morning, that first cup or two does give you a little bit of a jolt and kind of get you going. I'm not trying to deny that, but that's the rest of the day. That's not why I drink coffee. It's just, it's more of a comfort thing for me, and it's an experience that I enjoy, especially making coffee outdoors, like on the trail or something like that, or even in the backyard. But recently I've been on kind of an iced coffee kick, and I'll tell you the interesting thing is, in fact, I've got one right now. And that is good. The interesting thing I noticed, because prior to the last couple of months, I probably had about 2 iced coffees in my whole life. It just wasn't my thing. I prefer it hot. In fact, I like it smoking hot. But for whatever reason, I want to try some variety. And what I noticed was you feel like you get a big caffeine kick, like a punch, from drinking that iced coffee. And I started thinking about why this is, because it's brewed the same way. Regular iced coffee, or at least the way I make it is hot coffee. So why is it feeling like that? And then I realized because it's colder, and especially if you have like a mug like that with a straw or something, it's very easy to consume that whole thing. I mean, you could drink the whole thing in one big swig if you wanted. It's like a 16-ounce iced coffee. 16 ounces of fluid for a 200-something pound man is nothing. You can, slurp that right down. And so that all of that caffeine is getting dumped into your body at once. And so that's, I guess, why I feel such a jolt. But it felt good. Kind of gets you going in the day. It's been cold here, but this temperature hasn't been a problem. So as far as, drinking cold coffee, that doesn't really bother me. But it is a good flavor. I've really enjoyed it. Now, this is different from cold brew or cold press. I'm guessing cold brew and cold press are the same. I've only read about this. I think I've had one once. I don't remember how I liked it or not, or whether I liked it or not. So cold brew coffee is different. The regular iced coffee that I make is regular hot coffee that then gets, iced down and chilled, and then you make a drink out of it. Cold brew or cold press is typically the grounds are steeped like 12 to 24 hours. So basically overnight, or, over 24-hour period. And then you kind of agitate it, and then you filter out the coffee grounds, and you have a coffee concentrate at that point. From what I've read, most people will take that concentrate, like if they make a liter of cold brew coffee, which is a large mason jar, that's a common size apparently, then they will cut it 1-to-1. So if they put in 12 ounces of coffee, they'll put in 12 ounces of water, or 4 and 4 ounces, whatever. So because it is much more concentrated, you will have a higher caffeine concentration or amount in cold brew or cold press coffee, but it gets cut, so that kind of brings the caffeine back down. Now, apparently, because of the way it's done, it is smoother because there's a lower level of acidity. So I'll have to look into that. It's not something I'm really looking into doing right now, as far as taking on one more long, slow process to produce coffee. But I'll look into it, because I guess you can just put the grounds right into the water in a mason jar, toss it in your fridge, and come back the next day and you're done. So if that's all it is, then I'll check that out and give it a try. Let you guys know what I think. If I get any feedback on this, I'll go over and maybe even do a video on how I make my iced coffees, because I got I think a pretty good process for me. I'll tell you, this is what I've learned about making videos, especially instructional videos, and putting them online. People like instructional videos. They usually do pretty well. They're usually, if you do them right, they're kind of fun to watch. And you can take a mundane task or a process and make it kind of interesting to see how it's done and how it's made and produced. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the best in the world at making iced coffees or making knives or making whatever. There will always be people come out of the woodwork to tell you all the things you did wrong. Even if you put the old disclaimer in there, like I always do, and like I'm going to do if I make this video, that this is how I do it. You do it however you want. I don't care. More power to you. I hope it makes you happy. And I mean that sincerely. But it doesn't matter. how many times you say that or whatever, people will always, oh, well, you should have put, 2 more deciliters of water, or you should have, put 2 more picograms of sugar in there, or, it doesn't matter. You can't make them happy, and people love to correct other people when they don't have to do it face to face. So anyway, that's the nature of online stuff. I will say that for this process, I use an espresso machine. If you're not familiar with those, I've had several of them over the years. They're great machines. It's all these machines and these methods produce different types and flavors and flavor profiles of coffee. The Nespresso machine is handy because you can turn it on. It takes about, 10 to 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds to warm up, and then you can brew a full-size cup of coffee in about a minute or so, give or take. So from the time you turn it on to the time you have hot coffee ready is about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, give or take a little. It also helps because it makes a really nice flavor profile, a strong flavor profile for the iced coffees. So, like I said, I'll probably go ahead and do a video in the next couple of weeks. I got a bunch of stuff I'm getting caught up on, but I'll be in the shop and I'll set up the background and the backdrop and the cameras and all that kind of stuff, and we'll do that. So, anyway, check out the book Combat Cat, and we'll get back to if you got any questions or thoughts or whatever on the iced coffee versus cold brew coffee versus hot coffee debate or discussion. Send us an email at info@gearconvoy.com, and I'll get those later. Or you can comment here on the video or whatever. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. Have a great one out there, and stay safe out there, folks.